Comrade Show with Comrade Lante Oriaki. This is the Comrade Show.
Yes. You are welcome to the Comrade Show, your darling program, the Comrade and Friends. Today, the 4th of December, 2022. I want to tender an unreserved apology for us starting just 12 minutes behind the clock. But you know, we are always here to serve you. And when we do serve you, you know the meal is always delicious. So please, I want to appeal to all of us, just forgive us. On the saddle today is something very great. The Comrade Show is still on the road to 2023, and we have a very big elephant in the house. If you've been following us, this has been well advertised, and the man is here himself. No other but a fearless Nigerian, a Nigerian that needs no introduction. Dele Farotimi will be with us today to discuss the road to 2023. But before that, it is good for me to let you know that the musketeers, the obedient, are fully in the house. On that note, I want to bring in the CNC Komilante Bonsariaki to say hello to our wonderful viewers.
Yes, thank you very much, Obedient from Assist Austin in Remiran. Nigerians across the world, greetings to you all. Please, you know the drill. Let's share the broadcast so that others can see this broadcast. You know what the culture is, and it is the road to 2023, and we have a very important guest in the house. Thanks for joining. God bless you.
Thank you so much, Obedient Komilante Bonsariaki, GCO. You are looking so good. I love the way you are today. You are looking very, very radiant. Thank you so much for joining us. You are a carried Nigerian. And we have our brother, our doctor, the brain box of the Comrade Show, Obedient Dr. Tony Agbons. You remember last week, he was unavoidably absent. But now, he's not just here in spirit, he's here physically. Dr. Tony Agbons, can you greet our people? They really miss you last week.
Thank you so much, my brother, Obedient Pharmacist Remiran. Fans of the Comrade Show worldwide, I hail you now. I greet all of you. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are watching us around the globe. Like my fellow comrades have said, we have a mighty elephant in the house today. So please sit tight, cross your legs as we hear from a very cerebral Nigerian who believe, in good governance, and he has been an advocate of good governance for many years. So I welcome all of you now, cacabolically. Let me borrow the words of Pharmacist Remiran today.
Thank you so much, Obedient Dr. Tony Agbons. With that said, the atmosphere is now set. It's now ready for us to serve you. Viewers and friends of the Comrade Show, you know the drill. Don't watch alone, just share. A new Nigeria is indeed possible, and we are already on that journey. Hopefully, February 2023, we open the floodgates for that possibility of indeed a new Nigeria. Like I said in the intro, we have somebody who has been in the forefront of fighting for Nigeria. His name is Dele Farotimi, a lawyer, a seasoned political activist, an author, a staunch member of Afenifere and Movement for the Advocate for a Better Nigeria. And until recently, I dare say, a staunch member of the Obedient Movement. I present to you our friend, our brother, our canvasser for a new Nigeria. No other but Dele Farotimi. He's in the house with us. Dele Farotimi, can you say hello to our people?
I tell you that a few things improves my hearing like praise, and you've just done a whole lot of job to rob the ENT specialist of any related to my hearing. My hearing is 120% right now. Thank you very much for that welcome. God bless you. I guess how else would I know I'm in my own house if I don't get applause even when I sing nonsense? Thank you, Jerry. God bless you.
Thank you, Dele. Your enthusiasm, the humor, and the humility you bring to these things is absolutely on another level. But I just want to ask you, because this is a very rare opportunity. In the season where there are so many politicians, we don't know the school they attended, we don't know where they were born, we don't know what they do. This is your first time on the Comrade Show. Just before we dive into 2023, it will be good if you tell the viewers and everybody listening to us, who is Dele Farotimi? Are you a Nigerian? Were you born in Nigeria? Did you go to primary school? Please let our viewers know you.
Well,
Make break them down, no. Make you break them down.
And it will be good if you can break it down in pidgin English.
Okay. Make we not speak Dogon Turenji Abi.
We will speak good English, but for this one, nakam for broken English.
All the plenty money wey my papa not spend take send me go school, make I not display am. Okay, I'll tell you now. So I thank you very much. I started at then they call am St. Stephen Primary School in Olende in Ibadan. You know, I grew up with my grandmother. So in those days, nobody they care who your papa be, who your mama be. Now the school way close to your house. Primary school in Olende did directly from where I grew up. My grandmama house. Now only field like this. Now it's separate from. So Nigeria then post me go. Before that time, I go to see me for short ledger for Adamasingba for Ibadan. To not be nursery school, not be any international school anywhere. Now the same school where the children of mechanic, the children of doctor, the children of anybody where you feel big. If not the school where near your house pass, that time Nigeria still they function. People will get brain small, still they pretend to rule them. So in those days, we get functional primary school system. You understand? My papa no need to get money. I go good school. When I finish when time reach, when my mama come back Nigeria, where I move house, I not live for Inolende again. They can't move me. I dey go live for Olorogun second gate. So I go Abadina Primary School for inside UI. Now the school way near me pass. Not be say papa get money or mama get money. Abadina Primary School 2. Now the school where the children of people where work for inside UI, the junior staff. Now there then children they go. Now there I go. When I finish there, I write common entrance. I enter my school. Now my mama village, be Fiditi. You hear the name? Not be international school or anything. That Fiditi grammar school where I go, I get Canadian teacher, I get Ghanaian teacher, Pakistani, Indian. I had teachers from all over Nigeria in Fiditi Grammar School. Now my mama village, the schools where my children go, where I pay million for Lagos, they're not anything where reach am, whether for structure or for faculty, they're not get. I talk am full chest. Now Fiditi I go. If you hear me, they blow Dogon Turenchi, now waiting them teach me for all those places where I go. When I come out there, I go Lasu. The last way me I go, Supreme Court Justice in children they there. Permanent Secretary, then children they there. Civil servant, me when my papa be civil servant level, something we not level. I did there, all of us did there. Even by that time, Nigeria done the war. Now 85 I entered there, Nigeria done war. All these are jegerun, don't enter government. But still, Nigeria still manage to give us education, but by that time sef we don dey see the early shoot of weaponized ignorance. People don dey deliberately dey stupid. The Nigerian state don dey deliberately make people stupid so dem no go fit ask question. So na so e be. Na the kind of schools wey I go be that, and when I finish, I do time well for inside university. I waka wandering anyhow. I start with English, end up read law. I do missionary journey. last we graduate, we read law. But we not read law because we imagine say law dey Nigeria. We read law so that we go know as e be, as e dey go. You understand? I know say na jungle I dey live. I know say my country not be place where dem care for law. But I needed to know the law so that nobody is going to be able to cheat me using the law. So I read law because I knew I was living in an unlawful, unjust society. So that's who I am, just another Nigerian who hopes that before he finally sleeps, we might get a better country. And that's exactly why I'm doing what I'm doing, nothing more. Thank you.
Thank you so much, the fearless Dele Farotimi. And just listening and looking at the write-up of people on our chat, many people are so impressive that you are so freely talking about yourself, and we can identify the schools in quote that you went to. And you truly want Nigeria to come back.
You
Without
took
wasting time,
And he get classmates who.
you get classmates.
No, I beg, I would like to see picture. Make you show us picture.
Well, we'll get there.
Then plenty.
Because
Not be only say not be only say me I go school. Not be only say I go school. Everywhere where I go school, nobody will follow me go school. We no know me. Not be say they know me alone. After I don't come out, years after me don't come out last week. Years after, where I no dey there again. People will no see me for last week. No say I come there.
God, Dele, we feel you. We feel you.
They know they see elephant. Make them say it be like say they see something. I go there, they see me.
So people can go and verify.
They can
That's what you are
verify.
saying.
They can verify.
Okay. All right, over to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dele. I think the atmosphere is now set. Without wasting time, Komilante Pausa Araki, can you ask our very big guest the first pressing question, still on the road to 2023?
Thank you very much, Dele, for the very warm establishment. First, I must honestly thank you for your doggedness, for your consistency, for being at the very forefront, in the vanguard, for a better Nigeria. Your advocacy for a better Nigeria is loud, it's clear. Everybody hears you and all of that. And many of us are very glad, many Nigerians are glad that you have pitched very strong tent with Peter Gregory Obi. And many people, to be very honest with you, are following Peter Obi because of people like you that have identified strongly with Peter Obi, because they believe very strongly that when someone like Obi is elected president, the likes of yourself and many others will be around that, federal government table to decide the future of this country, for which somebody like you have been, making so much advocacy for. Now, I did ask Peter Obi this question. I've asked a few persons, and it's still a question that is really, really, if you may, people are concerned about. And recently, Governor Wike has been very much revealing so many things. And the bottom line is that there's so much fiscal rascality at the state level and at the local government level. Obi is contesting to become president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Now, even if the federal government is good and everything is all right with federal government, and we have massive corruption at the state level and the local government level, we are still at 0 points. So if you are going to be close to this administration, or you are close to the administration of Peter Obi that we expect, what do you think, you guys are going to be doing, or the president will be doing, to ensure that there's reduced fiscal rascality at the state level and at the local government level, particularly now that many governors cannot account for 30% derivation they've received from federal government? We're actually hearing right now that local government funds, is being, it's allegedly being embezzled by so many governors, and development is not reaching the grassroots. So how do you appraise this?
You see, there is something that we in the obedient movement have to pay attention to. And it is the fact that this movement has to be about ideas, and never about persons. Persons will spearhead, will take roles, but ideas above all other things. And why do I emphasize this? Is because I personally do not believe that we need to be in government to make critical differences. I believe very strongly that somebody like Mr. Gregory Obi, Peter Obi, would even be better served when well-meaning persons who are interested in the way the system runs stays outside of that government bubble to help to mobilize the people and to keep the government itself on his toes. I am saying this so that we're clear that I am not looking to take any role in Mr. Peter Obi's government. I am looking to continue my advocacy in the public space to make sure that the central basis for the putrefaction of Nigeria, which is the 1999 Constitution, the basis for the impunity you are describing about fiscal rascality is not fiscal rascality, really. We're just using an euphemism to describe brazen stealing, theft, brigandage, licensed brigandage, because what you do have in Nigeria is no longer describable as corruption. It is not corruption. What you have is impunity. Certain classes of people have risen above the law and they can do whatever they please. I say this because you must understand that the easiest thing to trace in the world is money. This money, the central bank knows its movement. When the state government receive their allocations and they turn it into a borrow they change stream of income, the central bank, EFCC, Financial Intelligence Unit, they cannot see it. But because these are persons who are enjoying the protection of impunity superintended by General Buhari, nothing would happen to them. So if a good leader emerges, because you must remember, fish does not get rotten from the tail. Now from head, fish they rot. When fish go spoil, now the head, the yama they take begin. The real crook, the real person, the chief of impunity in Nigeria, the way it's structured, is always the person sat inside the rock at Aso. Unfortunately for Nigerians, the one that is currently occupying that space is completely clueless, in addition to being already predisposed to impunity. So all the thieves sat in his cabinet, people who were already indicted before they ever came into his cabinet, they have a field day. Nothing is happening to them because there is nobody asking any questions. There is nobody looking over anybody's shoulder. If the leadership is right, these things can be corrected in little or no time. It's about the institution of the rule of law. Let the impunity end. And all this madness will end. But because the president is tolerant of every evil in Nigeria, the APC as a political party, the entire Nigerian ruining class, are very comfortable with evil. They think nothing of murder, talk less of stealing. So if you call it stealing, if any one of us who does not enjoy the power of impunity would dare to do anything at a micro level compared to what these people are doing with impunity on a daily basis, they will forget the person in prison. So this is not rocket science. It's about leadership. You have a leadership that is completely rotten. That is why we are where we are. I was looking at the Punch newspaper of today, headline, the Nigerian Navy is disputing the account of the NNPC as to the volume of crude being stolen from Nigeria. Yeah. Look, there is nowhere in the world, hire the most basic hack as a private investigator, he can tell you almost with certainty exactly how many super tankers are in our water at any point in time. They know who is taking the crude. So all these stories, we sit down here and we are speaking Dogon Turenchi, trying to humanize the madness that we are living with, is a lie. Good leadership, the nonsense will stop. How is it that Tompolo is the one suddenly discovering pipelines all over the place? It tells you the level of state complicity. How? What facilities does he have? What manpower does he have? So all of a sudden, a ragtag army of riverine touts suddenly have more clout than the Nigerian army and the Nigerian police and the Nigerian Navy? Come on. Let's see. It's about leadership. Nigeria is rotting because our leadership is non-existent. We have crooks in place of rulers.
Thank you so much, Dele Farotimi. Exactly 20 minutes on the clock. The Twitter handle, Facebook, and YouTube of Comrade Show is agog. People are reacting left, right, center. And Dele Farotimi is firing on all cylinders. Viewers of the Comrade Show, you are itching to ask your questions. The lines will soon be open. Dele Farotimi is with us. He is here and is willing, happy, and ready to answer all your questions. Dele Farotimi has made us to understand physical rascality or financial rascalities for the books. The word is impunity. Dele Farotimi 2022. Dr. Tony Agbons, the man is here. Your question for this gentleman.
Thank you very much. Our anchor for today, obedient pharmacist Iremira. And you are welcome, my brother Dele Farotimi. I've been listening to you for many years, and I'm really happy that you are here with us today. I was really, stunned with the way you use the word ruining class, not ruling class. So I really like that weaving of words there, and I've really taken note of it. But my question I want to ask you is this. Yes, we are in another election cycle. And a lot of people are worried that, yes, the Obidati ticket is a very good one that will, set Nigeria apart and take Nigeria to the path of productivity and good governance. But the fears in many quarters is that if Nigeria is not restructured, because we're just talking about state governors, local government, the impunity that is happening at that level. Will restructuring, be the solution, even if Obidati, they take the saddle?
Well, I think we first of all need to have a clear conceptual understanding of what restructuring entails, because a lot of things have come to hide behind restructuring. When you design a magic bullet, almost like an antibiotic, like if you use it, all the problems will disappear. Now, there are several things behind restructuring. If you restructured Nigeria and you gave it the best constitution in the world, but you do not anchor that constitution to a willingness to enforce the rule of law, then that constitution that is meant to bring restructuring, in the absence of a will to enforce the law, is a complete waste of time. We would achieve nothing. So yes, we talk all the time about restructuring, but let's also understand the way Nigeria is today. We have a legal order that is lacking in legitimacy. That is the 1999 Constitution, which is better described as Decree 24 of 1999. It is lacking in legitimacy because it does not flow from the will of the people. And this is why you will find that in at least 4 of the 6 regions, there is a clear demand for the country to be restructured. But what do they mean by restructuring? The average demand restructuring really asking that the country should work for him, that he shouldn't be the one that is constantly working for the country. Because when you don't have the rule of law in a space, it means that there is no equality of citizenship. That is the space where you now begin to have the kind of impunity that currently governs Nigeria, where some people are above the law and they can do as they please. It is this that is at the root of the problems we have, not really the structure itself per se, but the structure lends itself to that impunity. So when you speak to restructuring, the first thing you need to do is give the people the opportunity to express their will. How do you do that in our current situation? I don't run away from answering difficult questions. You're looking at a situation where the Labour Party is not even fielding candidates in all of the federal houses. We don't even have candidates in some local elections. So it becomes easy to ask this question: how do you want to go about restructuring when you are not in control of the legislative houses? But I say this: restructuring is essentially about leadership. It's about altruistic leadership that has a clear vision of where it wants to take the country. This vision now has to be sold to the people. The people in the houses of us, in the Federal House of Representatives, the people in the Senate, those in the state houses of assemblies, the governors, they are all representatives of the Nigerian people. If the Nigerian people are sufficiently persuaded as to the need to travel in a different direction, and this is sold to them, the governors, the House of Reps members, the Senate people, the people in the state houses of assembly, if the people are persuaded, if the restructuring is indeed in the interest of the people and there is presidential leadership, why does it always appear like some mission impossible? I'm a Yoruba man. I don't want Nigeria restructure to give the Yoruba something that I want denied for the Edo man, or that I want denied to the Ijaw man, or that I want withheld from the Hausa or the Fulani or the Jukun or any other person. We are all Nigerians. This country as it stands today is not working for any one of us. It's only working for the ruiners of Nigeria. Yeah. They are the ones for whom it works, and all of them have multiple citizenships. They don't only carry Nigerian passports, they carry British passports, they carry now they're even buying passports from Caribbean countries. But this is our own country. If we have the kind of leadership that Peter Obi is threatening to give us, if we have that kind of leadership in Nigeria, all the leader has to do is explain to people the necessity for the changes that he is proposing. It is in their interest. Why would they fight it? And even if the House of Reps members, the senators, are looking to fight what is patently a good idea to the people themselves will turn against these people. So I don't know why we are always afraid of this restructuring word, or why some sections of the country are so scared of it. It is because it's been turned into a bogey. It's been turned into some bogey word because nobody has cared to explain it in relatable terms. What does it mean for the common man on the street? How does it work? These are the difficult jobs that people have run away from, but that we must be willing to undertake. Yeah. So that's my view. The restructuring is important, but even more important is an explanation of the concept and the understanding that restructuring on its own will do nothing. We will need to anchor that restructured country to the rule of law, or is a waste of time, because that's the primary problem we have today, nothing more.
Thank you so much, Dele Farotimi. And thank you, obedient Dr. Tony Agbons, for asking that question. There is no gainsaying the obvious. Dele has been a fighter for restructuring. And I know the benefit of our viewers. I think he answered that in one word. Restructuring indeed is to all Nigerians. Just making Nigeria, our country, work for you. That is all. Thank you so much, Dele, for that elaborate explanation. I can see that on all our handles, questions are coming here and there, and everybody's excited and they are bubbling. This is not a question, but it's just a comment that I've read, and I think I should make it to you. It will be good for you to have, and given that we need credible, truthful, and genuine people. I know you've said it countless number of times that you don't want to be involved. Maybe it might be something you need to consider. Somebody is even suggesting that you become the Attorney General of the Federation come May.
Wonderful, then try.
It's not a question at the moment. I just try to take comments from people. But
we need
I swear, if you guys know, if you know how much, if you know just exactly how much stress this basic role that I have taken on implies for my life. You know, allow me to be speaking my Dogon Trench in the market, be lighting fire under the yash of everybody who is supposed to do it and are not doing it. Let me offering my suggestions and ideas.
Dele, no worry. God on your side. The God will choose this time
Amen,
for
oh.
this kind matter to the happen right now. You know they sleep. No worry. God on your side.
So thank you so much, my people, friends of the Comrade Show. We shall be opening the lines very soon so that you can ring in. Dele Farotimi is with us. He's going to be here for the next 1.5 hours, taking questions and directing everything towards making 2023 a huge success. Obidapti is the issue at the moment. And if you have not got your PVC, please do well to have it. Let all our talk be by action come February 2023. Dele, I just want to ask you this. It is personal, but it's also important to the road to 2023. You wrote a book, Do Not Die in Their War. And many people have accused the obedient movement and individuals canvassing for Peter Obi and Obi Dati that sometimes we are getting too involved in this whole thing. I haven't read the whole of the book, but I've listened to so many people talk about it. And I think you were trying to explain that we should be focused and don't get involved in politicians in some ways. Today, I want you to explain to our viewers, what is it about Do Not Die in Their War? And if we are to make Obi a reality, should we not commit to dying for Obi and Obi Dati?
Thank you, my brother. You know, there is something that always makes me laugh about our people. They look at the cover, and without diving deep, because of a measure of intellectual indolence that has come to afflict our people, I guess also a function of the lack of intellectual curiosity that is a byproduct of the weaponized ignorance. Our people don't read. When they read, they don't read to understand a lot of things. Yes, I wrote the book, and one of the titling essay says, "Do not die in their war." Let me explain something. I had to write that book in order to offer context for the book I actually set out to write. The book I really wanted to write when I started writing was the imperative of the Nigerian Revolution. But I realized that people would not understand the book if I didn't offer them context. So what I then did was that I put together a collection of essays that I did over about a 2-year period. It took me a 2-year period or thereabout to do the collection of essays that were put together and titled Do Not Die in Their War. The last chapter, I believe, in that book is titled The Day I Died. How could a person who was already talking about the day he died be telling you do not die in their war, and you are thinking he's saying you should assume a pacifist victimhood? But far be it from me. What I'm saying is, don't die in their own wars. Their wars are stupid. It's only their own interest. When politicians cause wars, they're doing so for their own interest. Your interests do not count. So do not die in their war. It's their own. I even went further. I said, identify your own wars. The wars that involves us. The man in Kankara, that Fulani man in Kankara, whose children were carted away, is as affected as the man in Igboho, whose wife was killed on the farm. It is all about the failure of the state, and it is essentially showing you the commonalities of the afflictions. That man in Kankara is Fulani, the man in Igboho is Fulani, the one in Enugu is Fulani, the one that is Fulani that is doing all of these things. But the victims are not Fulani. But the victim in Kankara is Fulani. So we need to understand that it's not about the ethnicity, it's about the failure of the state. The willingness to extend impunity to nepotistic ends. So the Fulani head of state, in nepotistic exercise of power, offers cover of impunity to Fulani militia. That is not
about ethnicity. It's about the fact that the system allows it. So anything they cause is their own war. Don't get involved. Identify your own common interest. Band together as one. Now fight the system that is holding you down. So when I say do not die in their war, I was not counseling victimhood or idiotic pacifism. I was saying identify that the wars that the politicians are starting are entirely in their own interest. Eze Yamu was of the PDP one day in one election. The very next election, the same Eze Yamu that what was that monkey from NLC, Oshi Omole, the same Eze Yamu that he had said was a thief in one election, he redefined him in the next election as a savior. And people died in those elections fighting on behalf of these people. Look at Yeye Bello as well. Yeye Bello and that one that was Lagos boy, it's not Lagos boy, it's Mushe boy, Faleke. Yeah. People died because they were fighting over power in Kogi. The people who died, they just died for nothing. So that is the nature of the wars that the Nigerian politicians will start, which is why I said, do not die in their war. You see the two buffoons of the APC and PDP clowning around at Shola Saraki's memorial lecture the other day. They were backing at each other on TV like they needed to be held apart so that they will not bite each other. And yet, there they were, busy cavorting away. And the idiots who are fighting on their behalf, maybe they give them 2,000 naira recharge card. They will come online, be abusing their father's age mate. They will be behaving like rabid dogs because of 2,000 naira. Meanwhile, the people stealing their destiny, they pretend to fight in daytime. In the evening, they are busy romancing each other. Their children marry each other. They do businesses together. And yet, the victims are the ones fighting to kill and to die on their behalf. Yeah. So that's what that stood for. Do not die in their war.
Thank you so much, Dele Farotimi, for explaining that very clear to our viewers. Dele has said and explained what he meant by that book. If you still want to know more, please go and read it. It is better to die for what we believe than to die in their own war. We shouldn't be a victim of their own war. Thank you so much, Dele Farotimi, for that explanation. Viewers of the Comrade Show, our lines are being displayed. Please pick up the phone and ring to ask Dele Farotimi your question. This is the Comrade Show, the Comrade and Friends, a segment of the Comrade Show, bringing to you live to everybody all over the world. We have a very important guest, Dele Farotimi, in the house. And for the last 38 to 39 minutes, we've been having very robust discussion on Nigeria and the way to move forward. While I wait for more calls to come, I want to go to CNC, obedient Comrade Lante Ponce Araki, GCO, to ask Dele Farotimi the very next question.
Well, Dele, he just mentioned GCOO. I know that you may be like, what is GCOO? We have become too obedient to the extent that obedient has become a title to us. And for some of us are foremost obedient. For instance, I am GCO, and it simply means Grand Commander of the Order of Obedience. When you come to that level, and from the way you've been depositing, definitely we have a GCOO in you. And all of that. Anyhow, Dele, you've been all about this, and everybody who understands where we are and believes that Nigeria should have a better future will definitely understand where you're coming from. Recently, we are getting reports of INEC offices being burnt, materials including PVCs and all of that. About 3 INEC offices have been burnt across. I think it was reported that which of these? One in the eastern, in the east, and
one in the west.
In the west,
I think Ogun State as well.
Yes, Ogun State. Yes, exactly. Now, apart from these, we have some, I don't want to say confirmed reports, But I mean, these reports, they're coming from very credible, Nigerians. We have parts of Nigeria still very much under siege. Parts of Nigeria where Nigerians are paying tithe, or rather, they are paying tax to terrorists. They are not they are not under, the legitimate, government of Nigeria, but they are under, the hands of terrorists and all that. And they are parts of Nigeria. They should be part of those that will determine who the next president is and all of that. Given these situations, and on the suspicion that a lot more things may happen before elections that may compromise the process, do you think that we are safe enough to have elections?
Well, brother, Nigeria is anyway good enough. The hosts are almost entirely made up of people from my generation, so you definitely remember the Charlie Boy show. I'm sure you remember.
Definitely.
Remember when they want to start, they will say, "This is the Charlie Boy show, where anything
it's possible
can happen." Remember?
Yes.
Yeah. Welcome to the Charlie Boy show, and that's Nigeria for you. I could sugarcoat it and tell you how that one will pale into insignificance, but I'll be lying to you. These are scenarios that any rational being must of necessity consider. But then there is also the fact that you can only ever deal with what is in your hands, and you can't do beyond that which has been given to you to do. Nigerians made a tragic error in 2015 February. They elected a man who is essentially the number one enemy of the Nigerian state. I say that without flinching. Commodore Umi was on Channels TV. It was a morning show. And he spoke very clearly and eloquently to the fact that he was part of a committee set up by the government that was meant to examine the security situation in the country. And that committee came up with a list comprising of sitting members of the National Assembly, senators and House of Reps members, persons sat in General Buhari's cabinet, sitting governors who are members and financiers of Boko Haram. That the president became aware of this as far back as 2016, 2017. He said this on national TV. Up till today, nobody has been arrested or prosecuted. That is one. The SAN, who claims that he's our attorney general, but is essentially just Buhari's legal advisor, came out the other day to admit that the United Arab Emirates gave them a list of terrorism sponsors in Nigeria, numbering, I think, close to 300 or over. Their counterparts are currently in jail in the UAE, but the ones in Nigeria have not grazed the innards of any court. They've not been charged to any court in Nigeria. When you look at the totality of these concrete evidences, you actually have no choice but to believe the evidence of your senses, which should then tell you that the person at the helm of government in Nigeria has no interest in fighting corruption or terrorism. Now, when you now situate that question and that reality within the context of the 2023 election, you then begin to ask, okay, so knowing this, that the government is complicit in the security mess, what is the intention of those in government as it relates to the elections? These are the different scenarios that you begin to run. If they believe that their person will lose, would they then unleash the terror that they have sponsored and kept? Because all of a sudden, you will notice that the state is either underreported or it has gone down in certain parts. There seems to be a settlement to an order of insanity. Those parts where they are paying to ISIS
or what do they call them in Nigeria? I think they call them
ISWAP.
that part where they're paying taxes to ISWAP in northeastern Nigeria, the fact that people cannot go to their farms in vast parts of the northwest, the fact that you continue to have killings in Zamfara, into Bauchi, and even spilling over into Kebbi now. We completely gloss all over this, but all I can say is this: none of those things are in our own hands. We can't do anything whatsoever to affect what the government will do. And they are the ones who are primarily responsible for security. So let's situate it properly. It is entirely in the hand of President Buhari to do his job. It is in the hand of the Nigerian police and the Nigerian army to do their job. You understand? It's not something that either the obedient movement or any one of us can do anything to affect. We will continue to campaign as best as we can. We will continue to prepare as best as we can. And it is entirely in the hand of the government to either do his job or continue to fail to do his job. But
Thank
those
you
are
so
legitimate
much.
concerns.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Dele, for that question. It's entirely up to the government to do their job. We will continue to do ours, but we must not relent. Indeed, Nigeria must be better. And that change that we desire will come February 2023. Dr. Tony Agbons, please, can you fire on?
Yeah, thank you, my brother, obedient pharmacist Remira. I have two questions that I want to ask Dele right now. I know that you are from the legal constituency as a lawyer, so I know that you are very much in the thick of the action as far as the obedient movement is concerned and the obedati campaign strategy and all that. So, in terms of the rule of law, how is the obedati ticket, strategizing to ensure that from 2023, God willing, they come into office, Nigerians will be following the rule of law? That is the first question. Then the second question I want to ask you is about citizens' ownership of governance. During this election cycle, there have been a lot of town hall meetings, some special meetings organized for the candidates to be interrogated by professional group and other, community groupings in Nigeria. But some of us have noticed that some candidates are, they are ducking, and to use the common parlance, they are dodging this debate, especially the presidential candidate of the All Progressive Congress, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. In fact, there is a big town hall meeting today dealing with health, security, infrastructure, and one other sector, key sector of the economy. And he's not even going to be there. And he said he's going to be in Chatham House to come and read from paper again. And Nigerians are like, what is going on? We've gone through this road with the current president, President Muhammadu Buhari, was also ducking these debates. So what is your take on all this, Dele?
Well, you've asked two questions. So the first thing that any leadership can do to change the situation would be for that leadership to urgently live by example. Don't say one thing and be doing another. Lead by your personal example. When you have rulers who are predominantly focused only on their own narrow, selfish interests, and then they keep preaching to the people to tighten their own belt. So the people's belt must be tightened, but their own belts are always loose. So when you live like that, it becomes impossible to inspire the people to be better than they are. But when you live showing good example, the people are inspired to follow. Because let's be clear, I was a lawyer for many years before I stopped practicing. But one of the things I learned in the course of my legal practice was that I must never draft a document that is lopsided. So in everything that you are doing, when you balance it properly, people do the right thing as well. So if you are a leader and you lead men, I call them winners because they don't show leadership. I can't call them rulers either because they don't even focus on the task. They are consumed by their appetites. That's why I call them ruiners. So if you are leading by the power of your personal example, you submit yourself to the law, the other people will submit themselves to the law. Your ministers will submit themselves to the law. If you submit yourself to the law, the governors would have no choice but to submit themselves to the law when they see the president submitted to the law. Do you understand? The EFCC, the Financial Intelligence Unit, the ICPC, or any one of the many organizations we have, the law enforcement bodies in Nigeria, could have stopped what you just euphemistically described as, what did you call it that time? You called it executive rascality. It's not rascality. It is lawlessness, impunity. But that is because the first person who is the most lawless of all is the person sat in Aso Rock. How much more lawless can you be if you can order soldiers to kill unarmed civilians? So when that is the personal example that the president is showing, why do we expect the governors or anybody else to be any better? So the personal example is important. The second part of your question speaks to citizen ownership of governance. You see, that question is based on a fallacious assumption. You presume that you are a citizen. You are not. The Nigerian is not a citizen. You are a citizen where you are in Europe. You are treated as a human being. Nobody even asks your citizenship first. They treat you as a human being. Even your dogs have rights. They are treated as beings, as sentient beings. Me and you in Nigeria, if you are in Nigeria, you are not a human being. You are a Nigerian. It's a different class of existence. The police can take your life whenever he likes. And that is why the person who says he wants to be your president does not think he has to talk to you. He doesn't believe that his path to power runs through your votes. So the level of contempt that you are seeing being displayed by Bola Ahmed Tinubu is just a function of the contempt with which our rulers treat us routinely, that he is indecorous enough and that his handlers are desperate enough to treat us with this level of contempt is a different ball game entirely. But that is the exact same thing that each and every one of the members of the Nigerian ruling class does on a daily basis. So when you say citizens ownership, understand that before you can become citizens, you must first of all become conscious of your state. I have said, and I think I did a lecture earlier in the year. I titled it Your PVC or Your Gun. And I explained in that lecture that for you to actually be citizens, you must connect yourself to your PVC first. That is the basis of demonstration of citizenship. If we vote Peter Obi in this time around, if God forbid that he fumbles, if he fumbles, we would already have demonstrated our capacity to be citizens by putting him there in the first place. Do you understand? So if he doesn't get it right, we can then elect another person based on the ideas we have queued behind in this cycle. That is the path to citizenship. It is only then that those who are asking to rule you will respect you sufficiently to come to town hall meetings and not be running to Chatham House. No party would dare to bring an invalid to come and run for the presidency of the country if they know that our votes would count. It shows you the level of contempt that they have for us, that somebody with so much moral baggage. Look, when you speak to incapacity. Bola Ahmed Tinubu is physically infirm and incapacitated. He is morally incapacitated. He has the morals of an alley cat and nothing resembling integrity of any sort. And that is the person that is supposed to be the president of the country. Let me put it this way. The Nigerian is on trial. It is not Bola Ahmed Tinubu that is on trial. It is me and you, all of us, as a collective. It is whether we are either conscious enough to know what is right, or we have lost the capacity as a collective to do the right thing. We can't pretend that this is about Bola Tinubu. It has nothing to do with Bola Tinubu. Any crook can aspire to office. But who are the people voting? Are they also crooks? Are they drug pushers? You cannot give somebody your child in marriage. Why are you appointing him to the presidency? So don't blame Bola Tinubu. God forbid that we have sufficient numbers of idiots and morons to elect him to power. But if that is what happens, don't blame the man. Look to the people. And it's not just those who have voted for him. The persons who refuse to go and collect their PVC and not vote will be responsible. God forbid that happens. The people who have their PVC and decide to play football on that day, they will be equally responsible. So it is not about Bola Tinubu. Let's even not make this about the man. It's not about him. That we are talking about him tells you that you have sufficient number of morons in our country already. So let's focus on the people who are making such an odious person a viable candidate to be discussed. Let's not focus on him. He's not even qualified to be discussed, if the truth be told. He's the one saying that somebody should not be mentioned around him. The truth of the matter is, he is the person that is too odious to be discussed. And that's what we need to understand.
I must agree with you. Pharmacist Remira, you have a caller on the line. He's been waiting. I don't know if you want to take the
Yeah, please, can we take the call?
Okay. Yes, Dr. Osaye Okungbowa is his name. Dr. Osaye, go ahead, sir. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from the city of Abu Dhabi, United Arab Emirates.
Go ahead, sir. We can hear you.
I feel like calling Dele Farotimi bros. Because when we start talking, most of us are arrested. For me, I can't go beyond. I just have to wait and hear him talk. Because he talks sense, common sense, articulated that anybody that has common sense, that thinks and can put it together, will be forced to listen and hear him talk.
Yeah.
And I want to tell you, sir, you are weaving us together with that passion and patriotism we need as Nigerians.
Absolutely.
So please never be tired.
Thank you.
I know all kinds of things are happening, but because you are a threat to many of the political estates. When you talk, you expose things that a lot of us gloss over, that the politicians don't want to talk about because they thrive in the ignorance of many Nigerians. So I'm just saying, sir, do not stop because you are a force. And by the grace of God, your voice and your passion will continue to be a force and a threat until we pull down those who have held Nigeria captive. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much, Dr. Osaye Okungbowa. I am sure that Oga Dele right now, his ears, he's going to be hearing a lot better now because this kind of things make him hear very well.
Nothing
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, let's take the caller, please.
Hello. Hello, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Oga caller, can you hear me? Hello? Hello?
I think we lost the call there.
Okay, go ahead, Pharmacist Remira. When the call,
we lost the call there. Thanks to Dr. Okungbowa all the way from Abu Dhabi for that comment. Dele, thank you so much for being with us. Oh, we got another call.
Yeah.
Let's take the call.
Hello. Yep. Okay, what's your name and where you calling from? Dr. Alex, can you speak a bit louder so I make you for hear you well?
Okay, I'm calling from Bangkok, Thailand.
Go ahead, sir. You have 90 seconds.
So I want to ask a question to our guest. Please, having indicted the government or having noted that the government is complicit in the insecurity and violence going on in our country now, what are you people doing as leaders in the Labour Party to protect yourselves? And also, what are you doing to checkmate the infiltration in your ranks by this opposition? Because I'm sure they will plot some evil men in your party structures to put problem among you, to cause problems. So what are you doing to checkmate all these excesses or this infiltration? Thank you so much.
Well, may I respond?
Yeah, maybe you want to take another call more, just so you can add them together, if that's all right.
Yeah.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes, sir. What's your name and where you calling from?
my name is Mr. Adudu. I'm calling from the United Kingdom.
Go ahead, Mr. Dedu. You got 90 seconds, sir.
Okay. I just wanted to ask Farotimi, Mr. The news we are currently hearing about the internal crisis within the Labour Party is very worrisome. For example, we are hearing about the expulsion of Dele from the Labour Party. If this is true, how are we trying to forestall to ensure this internal crisis in Labour Party is put to an end, especially now that Nigerians are buying into the vision of Obidati movement, and a lot of people are trying to join the force to change Nigeria. So what are we doing to ensure that this internal crisis does not discourage people and killing the vision the Labour Party is trying to sell to Nigerians?
Thank you very much. Dele, you want add one join but they just keep coming and coming. I don't know whether you will fit.
Let's add one more.
Okay, man. From this one from Nigeria. Hello.
Hello.
Hello, sir. What's your name and where you calling from?
I'm calling from Nigeria. My name is Elohi from Nigeria.
Elohi, go ahead, sir. You got 90 seconds.
Okay. What I want to tell Nigeria is this. We in Nigeria, we forget history very easy. If we fake, then APC with the government fake, they use fake bishop and fake pastors. So we don't put them online. They are all about fake. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. That's all the question. So go ahead, Oga Dele.
Okay, so see, the one thing that I have learned over the years is that at any point in time, you can only worry about what is in your own hands. You shouldn't take on extraneous worries that you have no powers over. I read the Bible as a teenager. I must have read it about 3-4 times before I was out of my teenage years. So when you hear me quoting the Bible, understand that I read it as a novel. So I cannot give you chapters and verses. But I remember a part where he says, "Sufficient unto the day are his own worries." So if the worries of the day are already enough for me, why am I going to add the one that is none of my business? The first basis of government at any point in time is the assumption that we've all donated our capacity to protect ourselves to a centralized authority whose primary duty is to protect. But the reality is that the reverse is the case in Nigeria. The Nigerian government itself is a merchant of debt. The rulers of Nigeria, or his ruiners, as I should say, are well versed in the art of murder. So you find us blithely talking about how one government official or the other sponsored the killing of this or that person is normal in our environment. So that the security situation is like this, I'm not going to worry about what anybody will do. The person who is interested in taking me out is the one we should worry about how he will do it, and if that will not even further advance my cause. The one thing that is certain for all of us is death. So when anybody now believes that that is the one thing they want to use to be scaring the Son of Man, is a waste of time. So I don't focus on all this security. I take basic precautions like any sane person, but it's not something I spend time dwelling over. You should see me in Lagos traffic blasting my fella. Now, the second one, the Labour Party internal politics. There is no internal crisis going on in the Labour Party. Don't believe the nonsense that those miscreants are yarning on TV. They have collected money from Emilio Khan. They have been purchased and they need to talk. They need to hand what they have called. If a man will come and fractionalize or attempt to fractionalize a body as close-knit as Afenifere, how difficult do you think it will be for him to go into a Labour Party? The Labour Party of today is not the Labour Party of 6 months ago or of 1 year ago. Labour Party of today is not unlike the old Nadeco, where everybody who had diverse tactics and methodologies for fighting recognized the common enemy and threat, and then came together from Nadeco to chase out the military. The Labour Party of today that you are looking at, all of us are in the Labour Party because of Obi essentially, but we understand that the Labour Party is a vehicle via which the obedient movement must move. You will find miscreants within the house who will come in and do the kind of yam pepper scatter that you are seeing on TV. Somebody must have paid good money to give mileage to all these things, to give it oxygen. But what I can tell you from being a part of the campaign, and I still spoke with the DG a couple of days ago, I can tell you as a fact that ignore the noise you are hearing in the public space. Those are the usual cackling in the absence of substance. When a man cannot do town hall meeting, he must at least give you something to discuss. So they will bring all kind of mischief, they will bring all kind of lies. Any number of lies will be told. Take that for granted. But when it comes to substance, there is absolutely no substance to all that noise. And I believe the national body itself has spoken just yesterday, making it clear that we should ignore that. So it's nonsense. Forget it. There's nothing there.
Thank you so much, Dele Farotimi, for our viewers and lovers of the labor movement and indeed the obedient movement. Dele Farotimi has reassured us that we should not worry about these news that we are hearing, especially from Ogun State, that all is well with the Labour Party and the obedient movement, and we should continue in that decision that we've made, that a new Nigeria is indeed possible. It's still the Comrade Show. We are just 1 hour, 8 minutes on the clock. Pick up your phone. Our lines are displayed. Feel free to ask those pressing questions that you've been wanting to ask. Dele Farotimi is still with us and is here firing on all cylinders. So guests, viewers, friends of the Comrade Show, please pick up your phone and ask those questions. I come right back to Dele. Now, I need to ask you this because, of course, elections are not possible if they are not midwifed properly. INEC at the moment is the body charged with that responsibility. We've heard information, news, worries, queries here and there that some people have registered and they are having problems picking their PVC. And then, oh, do we take the call? Let's take the call.
All right, sir. Hello.
Hello?
Hello. Good evening, sir. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Okay, my name is Festus. I'm calling from Denmark.
Mr. Festus from Denmark. Go ahead, sir. You've got 90 seconds, sir.
Okay, very
Let me just go straight to the point. First and foremost, I want to appreciate Dele Farotimi for coming on Comrade Show. But my question is, what will, if Peter Obi has mentioned to be the president of Nigeria, how are they going to stop immunity for people like governors or the senators or the president? They are not being investigated when they are into corruption. This is what is killing Nigeria. Look at Willie Obiano. He just finished his tenure and he ran away to US. So how are they going to investigate the person that is living in the US now? This is the problem we have. They will say, wait until his tenure finish before they can investigate him. You know, when somebody is thrown into corruption, the person should be investigated immediately. How will Peter Obi government ensure that people are investigated according to their crime?
All right, my bro. I think he got the question right. He's going to respond to that, so we can take another caller.
Okay,
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah. Hello.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening, sir. What's your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Samuel Uche. I'm calling from Poland.
Mr. Uche, go ahead, sir. You have 90 seconds.
All right, thank you. My question is this: as regards to the recent development in Kaduna State, where the Labour Party women leader was killed, I want to know what has the Labour Party done to be able to track people that did it, or what exactly really transpired that place? Because till this moment, we have not heard from the state government of Kaduna. So, what is the Labour Party? What have they done, or what are they doing in trying to know exactly what really transpired here? In order to scatter the rest of the people in that local government and in the state at large. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's well taken. Yes, over to you, sir.
Well, the first question relates to corrupt persons who tend to get away with their crimes. And, you know, it comes down to the same issue that I was speaking to earlier on. When the leadership at the pinnacle, because the way Nigeria is structured, I've already sought to explain this. When the leadership is itself permissive of impunity, these things happen. When the leadership is not as permissive, because you know when they spoke about reading Buhari's body language, sometimes you can smell the body odor as well. When the body odor suggests that the person at the helm of affairs is permissive of stealing, like Ganduje stealing in broad daylight, and does not even have any moral sanction. If you can't even give legal sanction, you don't even pretend to have moral sanction, and the person becomes a second-time governor, and then it will end. So it's not really corruption. Let's stop calling it corruption. Nigerians need to understand that this is not corruption. That the person has gone to the US actually does not stop anything from happening. If they were truly interested in investigating the man, they will simply ask for the man to be extradited back to Nigeria. Yeah. But they've never been interested in, look, corruption is an euphemism for impunity. That's all it is. When they say somebody is corrupt, it means that the person is of a class that cannot be tried before a law court. That is what it means. If the person has stolen company's money and ran to the US, wouldn't Interpol have brought him back? So let's move beyond all these farcical gyration that we're discussing things that in reality have been given to us to discuss because they must distract us, but they are not important. What is important is that we must fix our country to anchor it to law, so that people understand that when they do things, when they commit crimes, because these are crimes, when they commit crimes, there will be consequences. It is the complete absence of consequences that allows people to get away with things like this, and they keep doing it in the knowledge that nothing will happen. The policeman who turns his gun on the citizen and shoots him dead, saying, I will kill you, nothing will happen. He knows. It's the same thing as the governor Who packs money? Look at what they're saying. They say about how many trillions outside the banking system. But they know the people who have this money. So it's a distraction. Let's focus on solving our problem that has left us with a complete absence of the rule of. When people talk about rule of law, it appears Nigerians don't understand what it means. Look, I'm sorry, I'll take a little time. Yorubas have this proverb. They say, "Ìlú tí kò sófin, ẹ̀ṣẹ̀ ò sí níbẹ̀." What it means is that in a land where there are no laws, there can be no infractions, there can be crimes. But if you understand Yoruba well, you will know that Yoruba mindset, worldview, cannot conceive of a country or a place without laws. When they say a place without law, what they actually mean is that the place is a place where the law does not rule. Nigeria is a place where the law does not rule. That's why we are in the mess we are in. Which leads me into the Kaduna killing. Kaduna killing is happening and is possible because people are being killed on a daily basis in Kaduna, even before the election. So by the time they killed the woman leader in that local government, I can't remember the name of the local government now in Kaduna, when they killed her, you can be sure that the news of her murder got lost in the midst of the many other murders that were happening in the exact location. So it becomes easy for the midget of Kaduna to ignore a killing, even if he might be involved. I'm not saying he is, but if it were to be politically motivated, he will still get lost in the midst of all of the other killings that are happening on a daily basis in Kaduna. But the campaign has attempted to visit the family, but the husband was equally injured in the shooting and is currently in the hospital. But I am aware that the campaign is in contact with the family. We've commiserated with them. His Excellency, Senator Dati Ahmed, spoke extensively to this at his press conference on Friday as well. So it's a sad situation, but it's a reflection of the sad society in which we find ourselves. But we will continue doing our best. We will continue to take as much precautions as we can. But beyond that, it's all in the hands of government. We can't do more.
From Sister Remira, you have a caller waiting. You want to go ahead with that?
Can we take that? Can we take that caller and we'll go straight after that? We'll go straight to Dr. Tony Agbons to read out some questions.
Okay, we can hear you now, sir. What's your name and where are you calling from?
I'm Dr. Ogoyola, and I'm calling from London.
Go ahead, sir.
My question goes to Dele Farotimi because I just I've been listening to him a lot of times, and I just started following him about 2 days ago. But my question goes to him now. Dele Farotimi as a lawyer, I'm now asking him, with which year's constitution or with which constitution is Obi going to rule Nigeria? Because if we know that, we will now understand where we are going. Because for me, there is no presidential candidate that will come up and rule with the same constitution we are having now that will right the wrongs in Nigeria. This is where I want Dele Farotimi to explain to us better. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Over to you, sir.
You see, the beauty of the situation is that my principal, Mr. Peter Gregory Obi, is on record. He has spoken copiously to the urgent need to restructure Nigeria to make it a productive space where the people do not live a sad existence such as the one that we are currently living. He made it abundantly clear, and he went on. One of the policy planks in the manifesto is there clearly: restructuring and repurposing Nigeria. Now, when you speak to constitutional changes, we must understand that what I would prefer would be to decree one from Mount Olympus. I even went as far as to write a draft
that is contained in the book I have written, but it's a political process. The president has to necessarily work with the house, with the legislative houses, that is the House of Reps and the Senate. And this is going to be a process of bargaining. It's going to be a process where you explain to the people. An executive bill will definitely go before the National Assembly. But beyond that and above that, Mr. Peter Obi has made clear that there are certain things that he can do on day one. There are certain things that you are not restricted from doing if you have the intention of doing them. You could liberalize the electricity sector, for instance, to make sure that you license. These are policy issues that you can actually do a lot with policy. But that is without prejudice to the fact that there would also be a need, and there is a major need, to restructure our governance system. You have 774 local governments. You have 36 states plus the FCT, which is effectively a 37th state. Then you have all these ministries and MDAs that are doing nothing but have become drain pipes. All these have to be dealt with, but most of them can equally be done with policy. You don't need to wait for the National Assembly. The Orosaye report is already there, gathering dust for almost 6-7 years now, even longer. It's been there for almost 8-9 years now. This is a report that already suggests how we can go about restructuring the civil service and the bureaucracy. So these are critical things. Some of them require constitutional amendment, but there is a lot that can be done without needing to wait for the constitution itself to be amended. But as it relates to the constitutional amendment itself, you must understand that the first thing is an admission that there is a problem if you must resolve the problem. The APC government, as part of its manifesto, promised Nigerians restructuring, but it never delivered on it. Atiku Abubakar is talking restructuring as a major policy plank again. And then Peter Obi is coming, he's talking restructuring. What this should tell you is that there is a mass support for the idea of restructuring from amongst the people. But there has to be a conceptual understanding of what it means. And this is what has to be sold to the people. That's a policy issue that Mr. Peter Obi would, of course, be unveiling in the course of his governance and in his engagement with the legislative body and with the Nigerian people. This is not a policy issue that we can begin to deal with today. The only thing I can say is that a man who is famous for keeping his word sat down with the Southern and Middle Belt Leaders Forum. I am a member of Afenifere. I was in that meeting as a member of Afenifere. So he sat with the Andev, as the representative of the Niger Delta people. Chief Clark was there at his head. He sat with Pogu from the Middle Belt. That's the Middle Belt Forum. Baba Adebanjo of Afenifere and Ohaneze Ndigbo, making 4 out of the 6 regions. And he undertook clearly, he told them freely, shared his ideas on restructuring with them, and they were sufficiently satisfied enough to endorse his candidacy. That is the basis of the SMBLF endorsement and of Afenifere's endorsement. So restructuring is a central plank of Mr. Peter Obi's agenda, and it is one that is an article of faith. But it is not something that you can decree. It has to be done in conjunction with all the other people that will form the government eventually. That is the House of the state, even the state houses of assemblies have says, governors have say, but the ultimate say belong to the Nigerian people. And those are the ones I am hoping and believing that we would engage sufficiently with in order to be able to effect any substantial restructuring of Nigeria.
Thank you so much, Dele Farotimi. I must thank that caller, even though we didn't actually hear his name. I think that question is very apt, and indeed you answered it very well, because this is another gimmick that those on the other side of the of the coin are playing to the minds of people that want to vote to say that he will not be able to restructure Nigeria. You have said it very clearly, he will. Where there is a will and there's a determination, things indeed will happen. There have been so many people asking questions on our different social media handle, and I want to pass the baton to Dr. Tony Agbons to read out a few of those questions to Dele Farotimi.
Thank you, Anchor, for the day, obedient from Assisi Remira. And thank you, Oga Dele, for the nail-on answers you are providing, and your energy is very infectious. Thank you, sir. This first question is from John Ogunriola. This is from Facebook. He said, how do you expect the president or governors to submit themselves to the law when the judiciary is not independent? Question number 2. This is from
Hold on. Can we take them one by one if you don't mind?
Okay.
I'll try and be brief with each one.
Okay.
What the person needs to understand is that the putrefaction of the Nigerian judiciary is also a reflection of the state of impunity. If the person sat at the head and that person, it can be Voltron, we as a people must also be willing to make the mind shift that allows us to understand that we cannot continue on our current trajectory without ending up tragically. So the persons in the legislative houses, they are Nigerians. They are not Togolese. They are not Ghanaians. They are Nigerians. Peter Obi, 1,000 Peter Obi cannot change Nigeria if Nigerians do not want Nigeria to change. All he can offer is leadership. That is the only thing he can offer. If he offers the leadership, we ourselves must be committed and ready to change the country. If we don't change it, it won't change. That is just the reality. So I understand what the gentleman is saying, but if Nigeria will change, the organizer must change, the leader must change, the police must change. It's not just the judiciary in Nigeria that is rotten. The medical services are rotten. Your doctors cut people and say they have done CS when they haven't done CS. Do you understand? Every Nigerian that goes to the hospital he must have a combination of both typhoid and malaria at the same time so that he must pay. People get given saline water in place of injection. So let's be clear, the putrefaction is, we can point fingers at the judiciary, and I do a lot of finger pointing at the judiciary because that's my immediate constituency. But the reality is that there is no part of our country that is free from the stench. Every part stinks. So let us understand that all of us would have to change if anything must change.
Okay. Dr. Agbons, just before you go on, please, let's, if you don't mind, take this caller so that Dele can add this one to the other questions you're going to ask from the social media. Hello, madam, what's your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Ifoma, and I'm calling from the United States. I thought I was going to have a lot of questions, but I think Mr. Dele Farotimi has, highlighted what's important. The reason why people have been able to get away with a lot of things in our country is because so many things are not tied to the law. There has to be a law, and there has to be an enforcement of the law. I have not been able to lay my hands on the manifesto. I went on the website yesterday. I can't find it, but I am getting some bits and pieces of it. I also want to say a very big thank you to the people on the Comrade Show. You don't understand. I mean, you might have 3,000 plus subscribers, but your videos are going around the world and people are watching. And because you guys are not interested in gathering subscribers, just know that people are watching the video. They are just not subscribing, but they're watching. The video is everywhere. And I want to thank Mr. Dele Farotimi for all the good work that he's doing. I see the focus in the Obidati team. There's so many distractions, but they are staying focused. Mr. Dele Farotimi does the bits that he can on the social media, and he comes on shows like this to talk. One cannot underestimate how important these shows are. And I just want to thank everybody I don't have any questions, but I just want to say thank you for everything that you guys are doing. Have a wonderful day. Bye.
Thank you so much. That's
I think we must
quite
thank
impressive.
Ifeoma from the US. Such a soothing voice and his words are really encouraging. Thank you so much, Ifeoma from the US.
Very, very. That is so
Dr. Tony
lifting.
Agbon.
Yes. The second question, this is from Alex Shegun. He said, please don't make Obi to be a saint on this program. Peter Obi belongs to the old order. Obi started with ABGA to PDP, now back in Labour Party. What has changed? All of them are fingers of leprous hands. Obi is not our savior in Nigeria. What we want is new constitution written by the civilians. Or else, anybody at the helms of affairs will just be dancing in a cycle. Let Peter Obi come out with his achievement in Anambra during his tenure before being enthroned as a president of Nigeria. So a long one there from Alex Shegun.
My brother,
Back to you,
let me explain something. See here, I've said this multiple times, and it bears repetition again. Ghanaians are not going to come and save Nigeria. Nigerians will have to save Nigeria.
Yeah.
I wasn't looking to hire a pope or to support or canonize Peter Obi as a saint. I realized that there is a urgent need to rescue our country because these people have damaged it beyond repair. It's got to be, you can't even repair it. You have to reimagine it. And you're not going to bring the people who do that from Mars. They're going to be Nigerians. We're going to have to hold our noses sometime to work with truly odious persons who have professed to be changed. That is not to say that they become unaccountable for their sins, but the reality is that they are Nigerians and they are the ones who would have to fix Nigeria. Now, to speak specifically to the person of Mr. Peter Obi, you know, politics is a funny venture. If you do not have a clear understanding of your biography, join politics. All kinds of people will become experts on your background and your life. I have known of Mr. Peter Obi in the public space without ever meeting him until sometime in the middle of this year or thereabout. And I never heard anything negative said of the man. All I heard was that he was a performing governor of Anambra State. Even his enemies considered that much to him. But in recent times, you've heard a lot of virulent attacks directed his way. But even in the midst of all of that, even if I presume to give some credence to the more salacious of the nonsense that has been circulated about him, compared to Emilokan and Etiku, he's still approvable as a saint within the Nigerian context on too many levels. I'm no saint, and I'm not sure if the gentleman who has raised this vituperation is himself a saint. But what I do know is that I am proud to own my choice. And I have no hesitation in praying that my children should have the intellect and character of the man that I am supporting. Let other people say the same and say amen. I can say amen to my prayer. Let my children have the intellect and character of the person I am supporting. Those supporting Tinubu and those supporting Atiku, let them go and say the same. So I don't understand where the man is coming from, but he's within his right. He might elect to vote or not to vote or to vote the wrong way. That's his call.
Thank you, sir. I think one final question from our social media handle. This is from Yemi Odubanjo. He said, hello, Egbon Dele. Can we have Labour Party manifesto in other major languages spoken in Nigeria? Then number two, he said, is it possible to have LP pooling agents contact for our identification?
I didn't get you. I was off for a few seconds.
Okay. The question is from Yemi Odubanjo. He said, can we have LP, that's Labour Party manifesto, in other major languages spoken in Nigeria?
I know as a fact that it's being interpreted as we speak. It's already been translated as we speak. So people are already working on that. Yeah.
Over to you, obedient pharmacist Remira.
Thank you so much, Dele, Farotimi. Thank you so much, viewers of the Comrade Show, friends of the Comrade Show watching us now and those that will watch later. I think for if you are not aware, the Labour Party and the OB movement has indeed released their manifesto. It came within the last 24 to 48 hours, and I think it's everywhere. We've also been promised that this will be translated in so many numerous languages in Nigeria. But even though we've been waiting for the manifesto, you would agree with me that since Peter Obi and Dati started this movement, their manifesto has been everywhere. But thank God it's now released and it's in full document. Thank you so much. Dele Farotimi, we are indeed very blessed to have you. I want to repeat again for as many times as possible that all our social media handle is bubbling. There is a call. Let's take the call, please.
Okay. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, good evening, sir. What's your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Emmanuel. I'm calling from the Netherlands.
Go ahead, Mr. Emmanuel.
Chief Dele, good evening and thank you for all you've been doing. My question is a simple one. What are you doing to bring the other political parties on board? There are so many other political parties. By my estimation, there should be about 15 or thereabouts. Why not try to get all of them on board? It's important. The obedient movement is for all. It's a project to save Nigeria and Nigerians. That is my question. Thank you.
Okay. That's a short one.
What I can tell you is this. And I think a similar question was asked of me just about a couple of weeks ago. I was on Arise TV and I was told, oh, you guys are talking with Kwakonso of the NMPP, that they heard from Dr. Okupe. And I said, if Dr. Okupe will say so, then it must be that we are truly speaking with Kwakonso. So we recognize, when you ask, somebody spoke about us, about Obi and Dati forming the movement. They didn't form the movement. We, me, you, all of us were the ones who formed the movement. They are beneficiaries of our frustrations and hopes.
I agree with you, sir.
So when you have that kind of movement, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy to a very large extent. So what you find is that more and more people who identifies with our strategic objective, which is to chart a new course for Nigeria, they are increasingly coming around on their own. The bulk of the people in the obedient movement are not people who care about political parties. They are largely people, even most of you who are here, I doubt you've been politically involved with anyone, but you have seen the need for involvement because Nigeria is at an inflection point.
Yes.
We are actually at a major point. People talk about the Labour Party that is a third force. It's not a third force. The reality is that the existing the political parties we have today, the PDP and the APC, they are one. You can liken them to the letter Y. It's got two branches, but it ultimately dovetails into one. The PDP and the APC are one and the same. Even Bala Blue said so the other day. He said PDAPC is the same family. Look at Atiku, look at Tinubu. When you draw attributes and you're building an identikit, you can actually confirm that these are Siamese twins who actually look like one another. Buy one, get one free. They are the same. So the Peter Obi candidacy, the movement itself, is attracting different kinds of people, and we're speaking consciously across board to different types of people, and we know that more people will join up with us, because if you are interested in saving Nigeria, this movement is the place to be. I mean, this is for us. This is not for anybody. It's for us. It's for our children. It's for our children's children, so that they might even be able to point to a country and say, this is our country, so that we don't lose this homeland. We don't become vagrants. Look at all of us. We're sat here. Nigerians have called from Bangkok. Somebody has called from Denmark. People have come from, they've called from Netherlands. We're scattered all over the world like Jews. And then we begin to describe ourselves in disparaging terms. But when we bring out our passports in the different airports that we visit all over the world, they see only one. They don't know the one that is Fulani. They don't care about the one that is Ijo, that you are Yoruba or Igbo. Does not concern them. You are all the same. So if they consider, if you say Nigerians are thieves, you are describing the Edo man, you are describing him in disparaging terms to the Italian. Every Nigerian is a Nigerian for him.
Absolutely.
So this is the reason why people are coming together in the understanding that we need to save this country for our children. Let these people not kuku kill it finally. That's what's going on.
Thank you so much, Dele. When you said blah, blah, blue, I was getting confused, but I've just been reminded by one of our producers that you actually meant the man from the Niger Delta state. Thank you so much for reminding us once again.
Okay.
I was getting confused, but somebody reminded me that he is the man from the Niger Delta state.
The communion rat ate the poison bread in the mosque. Oh, sorry, it was in the church.
Please, I'm looking for helmet now to protect myself.
You couldn't have been more clear, because you need the umbrella. Anyway,
yes.
Ladies and gentlemen,
is very important.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been the Comrade Show. Dele Farotimi is still with us. He has to leave us within the next 7 minutes. It's 53 minutes on the hour now. We have a few more minutes to go, but we still have opportunity for questions for Dele Farotimi. If you are still there, please pick up your phone and ask your question. If you can't pick up your phone and you want to send questions via our social media handles, please do that. Dr. Tony Agbons will be happy to quickly read those questions for Dele Farotimi to answer. As we begin to wind down, I must thank you very much and throw the baton to CNC, Komilante Bosaraki, GCO. If you have any question, I will take it from there if Dr. Tony Agbons has got a question as well for Dele Farotimi. And let me also say, Dele, begin to get ready. I know you speak Pidgin English, you speak Yoruba. I have some sense that you might also speak Hausa. Be preparing for your parting speech in all the languages you can speak in Nigeria. Komilante Bosaraki, please fire on with your question.
Thank you very much. Dele, it's been so refreshing. At first, I want to make an appeal. Due to popular demand, a lot of people want you back on this program. I hope we can make that arrangement, in the near future. Why not? Before the elections. We can do that. Yeah. Having said that, sir, I must tell you, we on this platform we did a lot to get Governor Obaseki of Edo State re-elected because we believe very strongly in serving for the glory of service, and we at the time we believe very strongly that he was the right man for the job. Not just us, so many Edo people came together and all of that. But one thing that I took out of the Edo State election in 2020 was that Governor Obaseki did not win Edo State election because he had support from Edo State. He won the elections because the Edos in the diaspora mobilized for him. Somehow, a large percentage of Edos at home have some connections abroad. And the Edos abroad came together, in agreement that Obaseki is the next governor of Edo State. He must be re-elected. And that transcended into so much that had never before, seen in the political landscape, of Edo State, maybe Nigeria. In this election, I must tell you that based on what we are hearing, diaspora support for Peter Obi is huge. Yeah. And we must, you guys from the other side right now, in Nigeria, and those very much directly with the obedient movement, must find a way to cement the already, existing diaspora structure and build it more into the Obiism. Now, there's an aspect of this diaspora that is a major issue to every one of us in the diaspora, and that is that in this election, almost every Nigerian in the diaspora is disenfranchised. We cannot vote. Where small countries, like Senegal and some others around, even the Nigeria Republic are here, when they're having their elections, their own, citizens in diaspora can vote. But Obi has made a promise that he's going to tackle that issue, that by the next election, if he becomes president, the Nigerian diaspora community, Nigerians in diaspora will be able to vote. Sir, I don't know what you want for yourself, but I can tell you what Nigerians want for you. Nigerians massively will vote for Peter Obi because people like you, men that people can see with integrity, okay, they are around this table talking about the need for Obi, and they believe that it's not just Obi they see. When they mention Obi, they see you, Dele Farotimi, they see Aisha Yusufu, they see Dr. Loretta Agboroko, they see so many credible Nigerians that Nigerians can believe and all of that. And so they look at these people to say there is hope in this matter. One message, sir, and it's a passionate appeal that we must keep on reminding Peter Obi that one of the first bills he needs to send to the National Assembly should be the Nigerian diaspora voting rights. I want you to make that as a promise, and of course, I want to send a message to the entire Nigerian, Nigerians in the diaspora, looking at 2023 elections, because they are going to help to tip the balance in favor of Obi. Go ahead, sir.
Let me first of all say this to you. My people have a proverb. They say, "Amukun eru ewo, olori le nwo, ewu sale." You tell the lame man, you say, "Oh, the load on your head is lopsided," and he says to you, "You are focused on the load. You are ignoring my legs. The crookedness is at the root, is not at the top. Your inability to vote is a function of the fact that you are not citizens. If you were citizens, your right to vote, which is the primary proof of your citizenship, your enfranchisement, your right to self-determination cannot be taken away from you. But the Nigerian is not a citizen. Even those of us in Nigeria, they don't want us to vote. They do everything to make sure we don't vote. They don't do anything to make it easy to express the right to vote. So you can imagine that those of you who now happen to be abroad, the fact is that you are the ones, I hate to say this, Nigerians abroad are actually you are not unlike Abikus. The Abiku does not go and it does not come. You guys are actually more informed about Nigeria than those of us living in Nigeria. And the fact that you have left is proof of the fact that you have not lost your sanity. Those of us who live in Nigeria, who have the capacity to leave Nigeria but have elected to stay, we are mad. Don't let anybody fool you. Those who cannot leave, they are the victims. Those of us who can leave, who did not leave, who have not left, we are mad. So if you want the right to vote, be prepared to make sure that you help us to become citizens so that you too, you can become citizens. The coming election, you have a presidential candidate who is promising you that he will submit an executive bill that would allow you to vote, who has cared about your right to vote. They don't want you voting. So if he's saying this, it's because he understands the need to empower you before the likes of him might ever become empowered to become president on a consistent basis in Nigeria. So the intelligent people who are not insane, who have fled Nigeria, who wants to vote, because we do need you to vote, because you are not likely to be bought for 10,000 naira, which is just how much? That's $10 now, it'll be 10 pounds. That's what they buy human beings for in your country. So we understand, and you can be sure that somebody like me is very interested in seeing the restoration of citizenship. So I assure you, I will be out here like you, and I will be busy shouting to tell them these are the things you need to do to restore hope for the Nigerians. So thank you very much, but I assure you it's not something to be forgotten. is fundamental. If Peter Obi gains power and you don't gain the right to vote, he would have failed. That's the truth.
Thank you so much, Dele. Dr. Tony Agbons, quick succession, please. Time is fast spent.
Yeah, I think we'll round up now. Like you said, Dele, we know you speak a couple of languages from Pidgin to Yoruba. We're hearing some rumor that you also speak one language from the north. So,
No, I don't do.
In summary, just speak to Nigeria because we are really going to zoom on this very briefly before you go.
Well,
your final word to Nigerians as we make this choice in 2023.
Well, there's something I had said in the public space that a lot of people have misunderstood, and I think it might be the right way to actually end tonight's engagement. And what did I say? I said, God forbid that Emilio Kon wins the election, that I'll leave Nigeria. I believe I said that for the first time in 2018. I reposted the tweet sometime back. It's not something I said recently. And I stand by it, but it's not because I'm afraid of Bola Tinubu. I have no fear of the man. What can he do for me? What's the worst he will do? He'll get one of his goons to off me. And then what? So it's not about fearing the man. It's the society that would have produced such an odious person as its figurehead. That is the society I will not be able to live in. So when I say I will leave if he wins, it's not because I'm afraid of what he might be able to. I'm living in Lagos now. I'm not afraid of him. So why should I suddenly become afraid of him because of May 29? It's just a change of date. So it's not about that. It is the people, the society that would have normalized that insanity. I wouldn't want to live in that society. If somebody in that society should call me to tell me their child is sick in the hospital, I'll probably tell the person, waka. Somebody calls me to say they kidnapped them, I'll probably tell the person, go catch you. So I don't want to be around and allow myself to be turned into a monster. God forbid that monster becomes. If I'm leaving, it's not the one that I'm fleeing. It's the people that would have made such a person the president of the most populous black nation in the world. It would be an abomination too much for me to behold. That's the only reason. So
Dele, talk to us in Pidgin English.
Well, the only thing with me I want to tell on I did very simple. Make on understand. Say if I want make Nigeria better, if you want anything, make it change. You yourself, you must change. You must be willing to do the thing you need to do, which be say you go vote. If you don't register, you never collect your PVC, do the needful. They have already published the dates for collection. And they've made it as useless as INEC can be sometimes. They've also made it pretty easy, according to the outline that they posted a couple of days back. Pick up your PVC. But when you're done picking up your PVC, speak to the persons in your own circle of influence, whoever those might be. Understand that this is not something that you can do on your own. It will take all of us to do it. But we can't do it if you kept checking your own part. It's a collective duty. It's not something for one man or no Voltron anywhere. There are no Voltrons. It's going to take all of us to do it. Thank you very much.
And Dele, Farotimi in Yoruba, please.
Tó Ọlọ́run ọba kó dẹ́bù ẹ̀ kó dàbò gbogbo wa. Mo kàn ń bẹ̀ yín ni gbogbo nǹkan tẹ́ bá lè ṣe láti gba ara yín kúrò ní oko ẹrú tí gbogbo wa kóra wa sí ẹ jẹ́ ká ṣe é. Ṣé ká dìbò ni? Ẹ lọ gbàwé ìdìbò yín. Ẹ gbà á. Tẹ́ bá gbà á tán, ẹ má sọ pé ọmọ wa ni ẹ jẹ́ á ṣe ọmọ ẹni ò ṣèdí bẹ̀bẹ̀rẹ̀ irọ́ òṣì ni ọmọ ẹni ò kì í ṣèdí bẹ̀bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí nǹkan oní nǹkan. Kì í ṣe nǹkan wa, ẹ má kọjú bọ̀, ẹ mójú yín kúrò ńbẹ̀. Eléyìí tó bá kànyàn kan gbogbo wa ló kàn, ẹni tá a ṣe fún gbogbo wa ni. Kì í ṣe ẹni tá a fagídí gbà á tó jẹ́ pé àwọn àtàwọn agbèrò ọ̀rẹ́ ẹ̀ tàbí eléyìí tó ń gbé Dubai tó yẹ pé ó bá débẹ̀ gbogbo wọn ló máa gbé fún, kò ní gbé fẹ́yìn èèyàn wa. Ẹ gbójú yín kúrò níbi nǹkan tí ó kàn wá. Òbí ló kàn lọ́tẹ̀ yìí. Ẹ jẹ́ á ṣe ń tá a ní ṣe. Ẹ jẹ́ ká gbára wa lóko ẹrú. Ẹ ṣé mo dúpẹ́ o.
Thank you so much, Vintage Dele Farotimi. 2 hours with you is just like 1 minute. We can have you for eternity, but time is not always our friend. Thank you so
Nobody
much
has the
for
time.
finding time out of your busy schedule to be with us. Just before I round up, I want to thank all our callers who called from every part of the world. Dr. Osayemere Okugbawa calling all the way from Abu Dhabi, United Arab Emirates. Dr. Alex called all the way from Bangkok, Thailand. Mr. Adedu called all the way from the United Kingdom. Mr. Elohim from Nigeria. Festus from Denmark. Samuel Uche from Holland, the Netherlands. And Dr. I didn't quite get his name, called all the way from London. And I guess Mrs. Ifyoma called all the way from the United States of America. And Emmanuel called all the way from Netherlands in Europe. Thank you so much for all your calls. We appreciate your comments and your questions. And I must thank the obedient movement all over the world. And for Comrade Show and the obedient people and the musketeers. Dr. Tony Agbons, thank you so much for being with us today. And our CNC Comrade Lante Pawosa Iraki for being with us. And of course, the almighty, fearless, activist-driven, Nigeria passionate man that wants Nigeria to be good in 2023. Dele Farotimi, you are a blessing to us. Thank you so much for giving us our time.
Thank you
Viewers
very
of
much.
the Comrade Show, it's been the Comrade and Friends, and we see you again next Sunday with another sweet episode. God bless una kakabolically.
Thank you so much, Nigerians. Please don't forget to follow us on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and of course, equally follow us on Twitter and all our social media handles. It's the Comrade Show. God bless you all, and God bless Nigeria.
Comrade Show, Comrade Lante Oriente. This is the Comrade Show.
Are you a business owner? Do you make your own products? This is your best opportunity ever. Register your brand now with the first and largest marketplace promoting Nigerian-made products. Get access to over 17 million shoppers and customers currently in need of your products. Download on Google Play Store now to register or visit ekioja.com. Focus on creating your passion. Leave the marketing to us.